Hey guys, it's Bree. So today I'm just going to do a bit of a quick Q&A. I posted recently in a couple of my videos that oh please excuse the dishwasher in the background, and also if you hear little children screaming, it's Ube. And now the train, I can't win. Whenever I switch this camera on, I swear, 1,000 things go off. But anyway, I've been saying in my last few videos I'm a little bit tired, and today particularly I had so much work to do. I just kind of been drained. I had to wait until Ube went to sleep so that I could get this done. But somebody suggested that I do a Q&A because they really like seeing Q&A. So for those of you who do like seeing them, thank you, because they're nice and easy to make. Also, I posted on my Instagram and asked you guys to give me your questions, and here are some of the ones you gave. So the first one I'm going to ask is, do you know anything about irregular periods and having diabetes? Love your videos, they have helped me understand so many things. Mwah. So, do you know, I don't know a lot about irregular periods and diabetes together, but irregular periods is usually a sign that you have a hormone imbalance, which, you know, if you've got diabetes, I know it's a completely different thing, it's insulin levels, but they could quite easily be linked. So I would definitely talk to your doctor about that if you're concerned. Someone else asked, do you use cruelty-free makeup? Well, as you can kind of tell, I don't really ever wear makeup. I'm kind of breaking out a bit at the moment because I just finished ovulating. I don't really ever wear makeup except for when I'm on stage, or if I want to look older, or if I've got a business meeting or something that I feel I need to look older for. Then I will wear makeup, but I usually try and go for, I don't specifically look for the cruelty-free ones because, to be honest, I'm not much of an animal person, so it's not the first thing that springs into mind. But I do try and use like the more organic and biodegradable ones, or just more natural products in general, which I would assume kind of goes with cruelty-free. I would imagine a lot of those companies do go the cruelty-free route because they're trying to appeal to people who are kind of nature lovers, and that sort of, I'm vegan, you know, that sort of goes hand in hand with being an animal lover. So I'd be very surprised if they tested on animals, but it's not something I specifically look for, to be honest. I always have my period for a few days straight and then stop for a day and start for the next like 5 days. Help. That is very odd, and I would definitely go and see your doctor about that. That sounds like very irregular periods, and you might have an underlying condition for that. Can you wash cloth pads with just natural liquid soap? You shouldn't really, unless it's an emergency. Soap is not the same as detergent, which is what we use in a washing machine. So it's probably best if you don't, unless, like I said, it's an emergency and you really need to wash them in a sink or something. I would definitely not recommend it though. How are you finding having refugees with you? Have there been any challenges? I think for me this week it's really settled down because we finally done all the application forms and seen everywhere. I went to see a nursery today for little Ube. If you haven't watched my other videos, I have a mother and her 3-year-old son staying with me. They're Syrian refugees, and yeah, I don't think there's any real challenges we've faced because I'm a woman and I don't have a partner. And I'm heterosexual, so it would be a male partner. It's a lot easier because one thing I didn't realise is that Muslims don't have to wear the hijab around other females and their family members. I thought they had to wear it all the time, but they don't. So Maze doesn't wear a hijab when she's in the house with me, and she's very open and her English is pretty good. So other than the fact that there's some things that we might not be able to understand, we can usually communicate pretty well and get around those issues. So actually, I think it's really great. Ube is adorable, except for when he had a temper tantrum meltdown today because he didn't want to leave the nursery. I have become well acquainted with 3-year-olds who I now have nicknamed 3 natures. Anyway, moving on to the next one. What is your opinion on the contraceptive implant, the one I have in at the moment? I have one in at the moment. I've just had it changed after 3 years. Would you ever consider having one? I would consider having one, but only after I'd had at least 3 kids. And the reason being that I only know 2 people in my family or who are close friends who had the implant, and one of them had it perforate through her uterus, which is when the device actually goes through the uterus lining and they had to remove it. Sometimes this requires a hysterectomy and it almost certainly causes infertility, and in fact she is struggling to get pregnant. And the other one had severe scarring from her IUD. Also, she found out when she was trying to get pregnant, after it had been removed, they discovered that this IUD had just ripped up her inside. Horrible. So I don't know people with very good experiences on this one. Really didn't pick the best time, did I? So no, I definitely wouldn't consider having it before I've had kids, because kids are really important to me. But yes, in the future I would consider having it after I've had children. Will you please be quiet? Do you think teaching should be done in schools to show girls about cups and reusable sanitary items? Usually in school they only show you disposable products. Yes, I absolutely think they should be showing these in schools. I would have so chosen to use cloth pads and menstrual cups if I'd known about it when I was at school, but nobody explained it to me then, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people kind of assume it's just gross, and so they don't think about learning more into it and discovering actually it's pretty sanitary and possibly better than using disposables on that side of things, apart from the other million pluses there are. But yeah, they definitely, I think, should be spoken about in school. This next question I thought was really interesting. Does the refugee you host use disposable or reusable menstrual products? Can you talk to her about it, or is that taboo? Now, without like invading her privacy too much, we do talk about it really openly. Like, there's no kind of, I've mentioned my job, I've described what I sell, she knows all that stuff, she knows I make videos on it. Like, there's no, what's the word? It's not really taboo for us to talk about. We do openly discuss it, and she'll happily tell me like, oh, I'm on my period or something. She does use disposables. I've offered to get some reusables, but I will need to get them in because all my stock has just left me now to go to a warehouse. So yeah, but I've shown her what I sell and she was very interested in it. Have you tried using period panties? If you have, what are your thoughts? If not, will you? I have tried period panties. I actually quite like them. I find they're particularly useful for dancing, especially the flesh coloured ones, because they can go under a leotard really easily and they don't create any kind of like bumps or lumps underneath the leotard, so that's pretty good if you're sporty with gymnastics or dancing or anything like that. Then something to bear in mind. I quite like using them on the heaviest day of my period when I don't want to wear a bulky pad and I just want to put underwear on, because my period isn't too heavy. I haven't had any issues with it. I'm not sure how you would cope if you had a heavy period, but they can hold several hours of my flow, so that's pretty good. Do you enjoy living in your own flat over living with your parents? I definitely do. The next part of that was, do you ever get lonely or miss the company of your parents? Sometimes I miss my parents, yeah, but they live so close by I can just drive down and see them, and my mum came over yesterday to help me with some light fittings and stuff. I see them pretty regularly, and yeah, I'm not lonely at the moment because I have people around me all the time. Okay, last few questions. Next one is, this question might be weird, but can you wear a menstrual cup on a plane? I was wondering if something weird would happen with the changing altitude levels and everything. Thank you. No, you can definitely wear one on a plane. I've worn a menstrual cup on a plane several times, I'm pretty sure, and I've had no issues whatsoever. The altitude really doesn't affect it. Next question is, how to handle severe cramps when you have to go to work or school. For example, a disposable heating pad in the waistband. Any other tips? Yeah, the heating pads that stick on your body, they're quite good. If you find heat helpful. I usually don't find heat to be that helpful at all. In fact, I find it usually just burns me, to be honest. I think if you have to go to school or have to go to work, getting some strong pain meds in is a good idea, but trying to solve it naturally as well could be a plus. One thing I always recommend to women to take if you have severe cramps is magnesium. Magnesium citrate in particular is the best one to take. It is just so good for muscle cramps, so it may really help to relieve your symptoms, and even if it doesn't get rid of the cramps, it might significantly reduce them. I have found in the past that I can get through a period on magnesium tablets alone. However, I haven't managed to do that recently, but I still think it does make them a little bit more bearable, so definitely try that if you haven't already. Next question is, when will the Ruby cups be back in stock on your website? They are actually back in stock right now. I spent the whole day trying to sort out stock levels because for some reason there was some confusion. I accidentally updated my website with the last stock list, the company who own the warehouse, who send me like a list every week to tell me how many of my stock is there. I accidentally updated the previous week's list, so I had to go back and do everything again, but it should all be correct right now. It should all be live, and they are shipping out as of right now, so we're good to go. So the Ruby cups are back on my website, and all of them should be in stock. If you're waiting for Lunette cups, by the way, because there was a couple of them in here as well, they will also be back in stock very soon. There's some stock on the way to the warehouse as I speak. And the final question is, what is your worst period memory? I would have to say, it's kind of a toss-up here, because when I first started my period, I was on a camping holiday, so I had to cope with it with just the disposable pads that I had and a couple of tampons, and I dramatically misjudged, or drastically is probably a better word, drastically misjudged my period flow. So I was a lot heavier than I expected to be, and I leaked straight through my tampon and onto the back of my clothing, but I'm not really sure that anyone noticed, and that probably wasn't the worst experience because that period wasn't painful. I think my worst period memories got to be the first time I woke up at like 5 AM in the morning and I was just in agony. Before this I'd had virtually no period pain other than a few minor cramps. But this was like being stabbed. Ironically, it was just a couple of months after I started using reusables, I think, but it wasn't the first month. And I don't think it was linked because they were getting painful before I switched. And it was just stabbing pain, and none of the meds I took would get rid of it, so I had to wake my mum up, wait to go to hospital. I ended up throwing up into a bowl on the way there, like twice. It was absolutely horrific. I thought I had like appendicitis or something. I didn't think it was my period pain, because periods hadn't been that painful to me like before at all. It was just absolutely horrific. Since then, I probably do have pain almost as severe as that, but I've got used to it now. I've only had to go to hospital a couple of times when my medication hasn't worked at all, and I feel like I'm literally going to pass out and I've not been eating. But other than that, I'd say it's pretty much like usual. That's just me, it's coming out of the bedroom. Yeah, I think that's got to be my worst period memory. I can't think of anything else that was that bad, if that makes sense. And actually recently I found a study that said they finally could prove that having extreme period pain, which is known as dysmenorrhea, can be equated to being just as painful as having a heart attack. So that's pretty, you can come in, that's pretty big. And I was very, like, that really made it to me, you know, realize that actually these are really painful and we're not just making it up. They can be seriously painful. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, let me know if you've got any other questions you want me to answer in a separate video, and I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye. If you wonder why I've got the camera at this weird angle today, this is because that is the mess that ensues after a 3-year-old. I can't show you Maze because she's not wearing her hijab, but that is why we're at this angle.